Hello, Aries. Thank you so much, as always, you guys, for being here. And a very safe and happy holidays to you. Okay, Aries, so looking at your third week of December, you pulled No Place Like Home, Faith, and Boundaries. Okay, let's just get into this. So, No Place Like Home. First of all, this talks about authenticity, feeling like you're in a place where you belong, feeling at home in your own skin. But I think the protection message here is what's important. And I say that because your healing message is boundaries. And then there's this like block. So this to me feels like you choosing something and looking for security in it. But the pain that that's caused may be blocking you from doing some self-care and some self-healing. And there's a need to kind of like set boundaries with people and situations that not only cause you pain, but make you feel like you're less than, right? And then for some of you, there's also the realization why you continuously, keep choosing something and looking for a home in it. And the reason being is that you feel like you're not worthy. And that comes from faith, but no place like home. The protection message says there are times when what is familiar and known is not the best choice. Human beings are memory-driven creatures, and we all look for certainty for what we know, even if the qualities we seek in other people and in external conditions are expressed in unhealthy ways. It also talks about avoid being too eager to find home. So this is like looking for home in a situation that you may have chosen because it's familiar, but the difficulties that it's causing now, I think, is something that, needs to be looked at. So faith, the quote for this says, I am more than I think I am. And this is where the selling yourself short feeling kind of comes in. But it says what frightens you is something much smaller than you know. If you are experiencing pain, holding on tighter will only worsen the situation. So the pain of a situation may be blocking you from realizing that you are more than that. Because with boundaries, we're talking about, making a different choice or making changes if what you're dealing with is blocking you from self-care. But this is something that you're seeking a home in, right? So boundaries, strong boundaries are necessary for you now. Decide what you do and don't want in your life. In regards to your healing, this is more practical than you realize. If others are interfering with your well-being or your ability to care for yourself, take notice and make the needed changes. So what I want to say here is that this is going to be for those of you who are looking for home in a situation that has caused you pain. And this may be something that you have chosen because there's the feeling of not feeling good enough, right? You are more than what you think you are. But there's also this feeling of like holding on to something, and something specifically that has caused you pain, but now it's blocking you from, making the better choice, right? Those choices that you look at and you go, yeah, but I'm not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, whatever it may be. But for those of you who, are looking for safety and security in a situation, if there is a lot of pain within that you're holding on to, I think, boundaries there is what's going to be important. The need to kind of make those changes and realize that making a different choice is probably the better option, but be careful about, what choices that you're making out of, this feeling of I'm not worthy of anything else. But again, there's also the be careful about what you're trying to look for a home in, or who, right? You're overall you, the emperor. So control. if we're talking about you and you sitting within your own power, this is getting back to a place where you are in control of what happens. Now, this could be about power struggles. I always question when the Emperor shows up, who is in control, right? But we'll see how he's playing out. Oh, wow, man. These are like heavy, constricted feelings between the two. So the Hierophant. With the Hierophant, we're talking about commitment and like within the confines of a certain like way of being or doing things, or a structured way of handling situations. There's also the spiritual teacher that comes along with the Hierophant, right? I always look at the Hierophant and I think about he's the ruler of the fives. And those are all the difficult changes where we're trying to find understanding as to why we're going through that. But I feel like for you, this is like, I'm confined in this situation and I've made a commitment to it. But how much control has that had on your life, right? In the present, the Page of Wands. Okay, so that constriction may be blocking you from making a choice to follow something that you haven't experienced, right? So the Page of Wands, exciting communication. This is the stuff that you want to hear. But this is also about, taking a new path with enthusiasm and excitement. There's that passion there. There's that feeling of, I want to experience something new. And there may be communication that's coming in right now. But with the Hierophant and looking at the Emperor, it's kind of like, well, what is constricting you? What is confining you to, something in your life that there's this like commitment to? And how is it blocking you from experiencing something different? And I want to see what's going on here. I always look at the environment and it holds such importance, right? The Hermit in future conditions. This I like with the Emperor being the overall, because this is like you stepping away from where you feel confined or restricted. And you may be looking at it now and going, yeah, but is this really where I saw myself? So, solitude, inner work, inner reflection. But the Hermit is always kind of looking at everything that he's experienced and questioning, is this the way that I envision things? So, with the Page of Wands, though, there may also be this like back and forth about, do I stay in what, there's the commitment to, or do I make a choice to experience something different? And again, right, like this is communication coming through. And it's sparking an interest in you. But because of wisdom of experience, I think you're going to step back and not necessarily make a choice to do anything here. But for those of you who are dealing with this, I can't help but go back to the Oracle cards and think, don't choose what's familiar and what you know. You may be missing out on something, is what I feel like looking at that Page of Wands. Oh, your best path to follow, the Ten of Swords. Okay, so I'm looking at that and I'm looking at the Hierophant. And I'm looking at a painful situation. And we're talking about, the end of that with the Ten of Swords. But there's the confines, right? The construct, this commitment, this confining in the box type of energy. But, for you, right, how much pain do you have to continue to feel before you say enough is enough? Now, for those of you who have dealt with painful endings and situations and you're not wanting to go through that again, right? The Hermit in future conditions makes sense. But, I'm looking at this as your advice, though. And with the Emperor, again, what is in control of you? So I feel like here, again, how much do you have to suffer before you make a different choice or, accept a different opportunity? The Page of Wands, all the pages besides communication are about taking advantage of the new opportunity that's coming through. Communication just happens to be the way that happens in most cases when the pages show up. But I don't think that you're going to be making a choice to do anything. Now, for some of you, you may be stuck with a commitment in work. Or for others of you, literally, this is being stuck or confined in, a relationship here where you may still be carrying a lot of pain. And that's where faith, is coming through for me on this. Yeah. In your environment, the Six of Swords, okay, so in looking at the Ten of Swords as your advice with this, right? Like, I almost worry that you may choose to stay in a situation to avoid any unnecessary pain, but at what cost, right? So the Six of Swords being in your environment and looking at the Page of Wands, this is like, this is what I want to experience, but in order to do that, you have to move away from the difficulty that you've been dealing with that has been keeping you confined. Normally when I look at the Hierophant, I think spiritual understanding and spiritual guidance. But again, we're also talking about conformity, right? And it's like I am confined to what I have made a commitment to, again, with the Emperor being the overall, makes sense, right? Because it's about control and what is controlling you. Are you in control of where your life is going, right? So some of you right now may be looking at communication coming through that's, got this excitement behind it, and it's something completely new for you, but you're going to have to move on from something difficult where it has taken control over the decisions that you may have been making. And there may be this like, do I want to do that? Or, do I stay in the situation that I've committed to avoid any more pain? The thing is, though, is we're talking about it being over with the Ten of Swords, right? Or needing to be anyway. I'm telling you, the familiar, right? The very much there's this like beautiful message with the oracle cards, but this underlying feeling of, devil energy. So your hopes and your fears, the devil. I have to wonder if something exciting isn't being presented to you, but in order to follow that, something is going to have to come to an end. And it may create a lot of pain, but the thing is you may already be suffering because we're looking at in your environment you needing to move on or wanting to move away from the difficulty that you've experienced, right? But there's, the fear there that with the devil, am I making the right choice is what I feel like. But the problem is here is that that if you can continue to stay in this like confined, that it's an unhealthy attachment. And again, you may be doing it because it's familiar. And that familiar feeling may be creating this sense of security, but it comes along with a lot of pain, right? So you may be reflecting on this. And I think that some of you have been feeling like for a while you've needed to move on, from something that's causing this kind of like pain for you. And the other part of this though too is if you are moving away from a difficult situation, there may be a lot of difficulty with that. But with the Hermit, I think that you kind of go into solitude. And for some of you, that may be what brings you back into, you know, this place of power, sitting in your seat of power and taking back control. But the devil, right? That may be fearing that whatever choice you make, it's not a healthy one. And that may be causing confusion too. So the Five of Wands coming out here, we're talking about conflict, right? And definitely with the Hermit, this could be internal conflict. But if we're talking about something external, this is meant to conflict with any of the thoughts or feelings that you may be having that are different from, you know, what you are involved with here with the Hierophant. It's like, yeah, but you made a commitment and you're going to have to stay here, right? Or, you know, you can't move on because of this, that, or the other. And it's just petty bullshit. And it's meant to keep you, you know, locked into this continuous struggle, right? And obviously this isn't going to be for all of you, but again, you know, for those of you who are feeling this, be careful about continuously making choices that are familiar. Especially if they keep you trapped or keep you in a place where you're just carrying on to pain. Yeah, something's opening up your heart again, the Queen of Cups. And then you have the Nine of Cups, right? But there's this conflict. And you may be dealing with somebody that's pulling on your emotional side, you know, like, I want you to do this, but you may be wanting something else. It's like somebody trying to pull on your empathy. So the Eight of Swords and the Hierophant, again, it's constricting. And you're not seeing a way out. And the conflict is further keeping you stuck in a situation where it is taking control over the decisions that you make for you. I see the Page of Wands here is a good thing. And you shouldn't, here's the thing, okay? So if you have something exciting coming through and a new opportunity, right, you should be able to make the choice to go ahead and say, okay, you know, let's see where this goes. You shouldn't be in a situation where you are confined and stuck and thinking that there is no way for you to experience something different. That's not healthy, right? And with the Queen of Cups, you know, there's two parts to this for me. With the Page of Wands and the Six of Swords, right, something is got you in your feels. It's like opening up your heart again. And there's this want here to move on from the pain, the difficulty, all of that, and experience something completely different, right? But then there's the other part where there's this feeling of, let me pull on your empathy to keep you stuck, right? Because this is the commitment that you made. And then with the Nine of Cups here, we're talking about wishes being fulfilled. You know, what do you want? What does emotional fulfillment look like to you? The conflict, I feel like, is intentionally meant to block you from having, you know, the things that you want, the things that, you know, make you feel good, right? So, you know, this is going to be for those of you who are dealing with, you know, a situation that is blocking you from truly experiencing emotional fulfillment and happiness. And I hate putting it that way. But with the Hermit though, right, the conflict is enough to make you remove yourself from the situation and kind of do that inward look. So I don't think that you're going to be making any definite choices in the future. I think that this opportunity absolutely is there for you, but it's about whether or not you want to take advantage of it, but it's going to require you to move on. And the thing is I think that you've been reflecting on that for some time. Wow, man. But ultimately, right, with the Emperor, you're in control of what you choose to do. And anything that is external to you that's creating that kind of conflict, right? That you shouldn't be in situations like that. You know, again, why the Eight of Swords is showing up. Prosperity, beautiful. Crown chakra. And then psychic knowing. So the way to prosperity is to open yourself up to that infinite awareness and information. And the way that we do that is by quieting the mind, you know, giving yourself a moment of peace so that you can get those downloads of information. And psychic knowing, it's like once that information hits you, it's something that you know in your core. But it leads to prosperity in your life, which is really good to see, especially with the Nine of Cups, because we're talking about not just about wish fulfillment with that. We're also talking about a feeling of contentment, you know, especially emotionally. Faraway places, get ready for new horizons, right? And then rejuvenating rain, clear the past, heal the present. Like I said, looking at all of this, I think that this is going to be for those of you who, you know, feel stuck in a situation that, you know, is familiar to you, but you know is not healthy, but it may be creating this kind of conflict where it has control over the opportunities that you choose to take advantage of, because it may be conflicting to what somebody else wants. And there may be this kind of, you know, but you made this commitment, right? You need to do what your heart is telling you to do. But if you're looking for answers on how to get there, that's where I feel like, you know, with the crown chakra, the hermit, and the psychic knowing, you just need to take a minute to like back off from this and look at it without an emotional attachment. And that may kind of help clear up, you know, what is going on here and heal the situation very specifically for you. But faraway places and looking at the Six of Swords, right? If you're experiencing pain in a situation, be careful about avoiding making a different choice because you don't want to feel any more pain. Because what I'm looking at here is an opportunity for you to experience something completely different. And not only that, but something that I think is going to make you feel better in the long run.